You think being home alone is peaceful until you hear something that shouldn't be there. No footsteps, no warning, just this sudden realization. You are not alone. Tonight, these are real stories shared by people on Reddit, told in their own words. Ordinary people, inside their own homes, when something changed. Story 1, the escaped inmates. About 10 years ago, I was home alone in a very rural area. My husband had gone out for the night. Our house sits miles from town. It's quiet out here, too quiet sometimes. Then my phone rang. It was an automated message from the county sheriff's department. 2 inmates had escaped from a nearby juvenile detention facility, but they weren't minors, and they were armed. They had overpowered an officer and taken his gun. That facility is only a few kilometers from my house, and then I heard it. Helicopters, circling overhead. Not for a few minutes, 4 hours. The sound never stopped. I turned on every light in the house, locked every door, checked the windows twice, then checked them again. I stayed up all night on my computer, messaging friends, refreshing updates, trying to figure out where they were. The helicopters kept circling near my property. Every tiny sound outside made my heart jump. Every shadow looked like movement. I didn't sleep until the sun came up. It was the most intense fear I've ever felt. But at least, no one tried to come inside. The next story wasn't like that. Story 2, the wrong key. I was 19. I had just moved into my first apartment alone. I'd only been living there about a month. One night, I was sitting in my living room watching TV. Both locks on my front door were secured. I remember that clearly. Then I heard something that made my entire body freeze. Keys sliding into my lock, turning. I actually watched the deadbolt rotate. I wasn't expecting anyone. No maintenance, no friends, nothing. The door opened. An older man stood there holding boxers and bags of clothes. He started yelling at me in a language I didn't understand. And then he rushed at me. He grabbed me, dragged me outside, put me in a chokehold. I couldn't breathe. I remember thinking, this is it. My upstairs neighbor heard the noise and ran down, pulling him off of me. Police came quickly, and the explanation was surreal. The rental office had given him a key to my unit. They told him it was his apartment. He had only seen photos online of an empty unit. When he walked in and saw me there, he assumed I was the intruder. I later sued the complex. But that moment, sitting alone, door locked, watching someone unlock it anyway, I will never forget that sound. Sometimes, the threat doesn't break in. Sometimes it already has permission. But the next one, there was no mistake at all. Story 3, the man in the window. I lived with 2 roommates in an apartment. After about a month, we started noticing food going missing. Small things at first. Snacks, leftovers. We blamed each other. Then, we blamed the thin walls. Until one Wednesday night. Around midnight, I was home alone, working in the living room. I heard something outside, near the front steps. A soft movement. I looked toward the window, through a gap in the blinds. I saw a face, a man staring directly inside. At me, he wasn't moving. Who's watching? I didn't scream. I didn't move. I calmly walked to the bathroom, locked the door, and called the police. After investigating, they found something worse. There were signs someone had been living in our attic. The attic had external access from the roof. The lock was broken. Someone had been coming inside, watching us, taking food, living above us, for who knows how long. We moved out within a week. I still think about sleeping at night, knowing someone might have been just inches above my ceiling, listening, waiting. Story 4, the knock at 2 a.m. My husband worked nights. I was home alone with my kids. At 2 a.m., someone knocked on the door. Hard. In our town, everyone knows everyone, still half asleep. I opened it. A man I had never seen before was standing there. Blood was running down his face. For a second, We just stared at each other. Then he tried to push his way inside. I slammed the door and held it shut with everything I had. He kept yelling that someone had heard him, that he needed to use my phone. I shouted that I would call emergency services for him, but he had to stay outside. When I started dialing, he ran. The next morning, while I was waiting at the bus stop with my daughter, he jumped out of the bushes, ran toward my car, screaming, trying to open the door. Police later told me he was heavily under the influence, but I still remember his face, inches from mine, at 2 a.m. Story 5. The toy that said goodbye. I was staying at my parents' house. They had gone out for the night. It was after midnight. Storming hard outside. The kind of storm where the wind hits the windows sideways and the house makes unfamiliar noises. Even though I grew up there, something felt slightly off being alone in it at that hour. I tried to distract myself with TV. That's when I thought I heard a voice. I froze. I told myself it was just the storm, the pipes, the wind, anything but what it sounded like. A few minutes later, I heard it again. Clear. Close. Bye-bye, followed by a cheerful little musical tune. It was coming from the toy cupboard. There's this old toy we all hate. A purple alphabet caterpillar named Eddington. My dad bought it for the first grandchild. 18 grandchildren later, it still won't die. It only talks when someone presses one of its legs. And no one was near it. I stood there, staring at the cupboard door. I don't believe in ghosts, but I was fully expecting to open that door and see some child crouched inside, playing with it. I slowly opened it. Eddington was on. No one had touched him. I switched him off, very carefully. Then I went back to the couch and stayed there with every light on until my parents got home. Everyone jokes about that toy, but I don't. I treat that thing with respect, because I don't trust anything that says goodbye in an empty house. Story 6. The break-in. I was 22. My family had gone on holiday for 2 weeks. I stayed home alone with the cat. It was summer. I slept with my bedroom window open. Around 3 a.m. on the 4th night, I woke up to a sound downstairs. Someone trying to open the back door. It's one of those double doors. You have to unlock one before the other opens. I heard them try the wrong one first. Then I heard it unlock correctly. Then I heard my cat yelp, a sharp, painful sound. Then looking footsteps. Keys being shaken, thrown on the table. Footsteps moving quickly through my house, toward the stairs. I was frozen. Completely frozen. I could barely breathe. Then my cat ran into my room and collapsed on the floor. That snapped me out of it. I turned on the light. Immediately I heard someone outside yell something. A lookout. They had someone in the garden watching. As soon as they saw my bedroom light turn on, they shouted. The footsteps ran. Doors slammed. Silence. Later we found out a man from my mom's workplace knew the house would be empty. He arranged for friends to break in and steal jewelry. The police never found fingerprints. At first, they even suggested I imagined it, but I know what I heard. The wrong door first. The correct door unlocking. My cat being kicked. And someone walking up my stairs. For the next week and a half, I barely slept. Because once someone walks through your house while you're inside, you never really feel alone again. Story 7. The door handle. It was the 4th of July. Bright afternoon, around 4 p.m. I lived alone in a secure apartment building. You needed a code or key to even get inside. I was sitting in a chair reading. My cat was asleep on my lap. The house was silent. No TV. No music. Then my cat suddenly lifted her head. She stared at the front door. I watched the door handle. It slowly moved from the resting position all the way down. Silently, deliberately, like someone testing it. I always lock my door, so it didn't open. I stood up and walked toward it. I didn't look through the peephole. I don't know why. I just had a feeling if I looked, someone would be staring back. Instead, I said quietly, "Can I help you?" The handle slowly returned to its original position. No sound. A few seconds later, I heard the stairwell door open and close. Someone had been standing there, testing my door. In broad daylight, on a sunny afternoon. In a secure building, my apartment was at the end of the hall. No one walked past it unless they lived there, and the people across from me weren't home. That meant whoever it was came directly to my door. For me, my cat got extra treats that night. She knew before I did. Story 8. The open door. I was 15. Home alone for a few days. My parents and grandparents had gone out of town. 3 days in, I went to a friend's house and stayed until around 3 a.m. When I got home, I parked in the garage and walked inside through the laundry room. The moment I stepped into the dining room, something felt wrong. The mail. 3 days worth of mail I had neatly stacked on the table was scattered across the room. Papers everywhere. I walked into the kitchen. The back door was wide open. Just darkness outside. Trees. No movement. No sound. I grabbed a baseball bat and spent the next hour checking every room. Every closet. Under every bed. Nothing. Whoever had been there was gone. 2 weeks later, the bank started calling. Someone had stolen credit card information. Tried to buy things online. That meant someone had been inside my house, going through my stuff, while I was still living there. The part that haunts me isn't the theft. It's the timing. If I had come home earlier, if I had walked in while they were still there, I don't know what would have happened. The whisper. I was renting a basement apartment during college. One night, I half woke up to someone whispering my name, softly, like they were trying to get my attention. I turned on my bedside lamp. No one was there. My bedroom wasn't fully closed off from the rest of the apartment, so I turned on every light. Still, nothing. But I couldn't shake the feeling that someone had been standing right next to my bed, watching me sleep. I packed a bag, left at 3 a.m. Drove to my parents' house. I told myself it was just sleep confusion, maybe dreaming, but it never happened again. And I've never heard my name whispered like that since. You think being home alone is peaceful? Until a toy says goodbye. Until a door unlocks itself. Until someone tests your handle in the afternoon. Until your cat reacts before you do. And sometimes, the scariest part isn't what you see. It's what you almost saw. If these stories made you think twice about being home alone, you're not alone. There are thousands more just like them. Real people, real experiences, real fear. If you want more true stories that stay with you long after the screen goes dark, subscribe to Ghost Energy 13 and join the Synergy.